Welcome to Capitol Report. I'm your host, Matt Swenson. This is State Representative Jerry Newton. Welcome, Jerry.
Good morning, Matt.
It's good to have you in the studio, sir, and it's good to have you folks tune in at home to hear what's happening here at the State Capitol and to hear what Representative Newton is doing on your behalf. And you folks got some better than expected news this week about the budget and the jobs outlook in Minnesota. I know that the budget forecast came in $200 million better than we anticipated.
Yes, that was good news, and it gives us a little more flexibility than we had, and means that some of the things that were on the list to be cut might not be cut. The sad part about it is that we're looking for the next biennium, and I believe it was a $5.8 billion deficit, and when you add in inflation, it's close to $7 billion. So in comparison, this shortfall this year is really going to be small compared to what we're going to have to do next year, and come up with some new ideas to address the state's future.
And I think it's important for people to understand that even though the state's budget forecast was $200 million better, you still have about $1 billion that needs to be cut this session on top of $3 billion in cuts that were made last session.
Yes, and our committee chairs from the have been meeting regularly in Governor Palente's office, for the most part working with his staff on trying to come up with a solution. Mm-hmm. One of the things that has really bothered me is the governor is proposing cuts in some of the programs that people don't normally see. For our motorcyclists, for example, they pay a fee when they register their motorcycles every year. That fee is used to train new people on how to ride a motorcycle safety. He wants to take that. For our fighters, possibly even more importantly, is when you pay your house insurance, you pay a small fee. It's like $3-4 per insurance policy. That money goes into a pool for firefighters, and they use that for training firefighters statewide. That money is being taken out. For snowmobilers, when they register their snowmobiles, they pay a fee for grooming trails, creating new trails. He's taking that small fee. So each of these are small, but for the people who rely on them, whether it's a motorcyclist or the firefighters or the people who have a home, it's pretty important. Another one that came up, which is significant, is a $15 million fee that people who have planes in Minnesota, they pay 5 cents a gallon for fuel. Mm-hmm. And that 5 cents goes into a pool that's designed for expanding airports, maintaining airports, and so forth. As you know, we have one in Blaine, not far from where I live. And that $15 million has also been absorbed. So, it's going to hurt a lot of places. And then the airports, if you're going to keep a good airport operating, you have to come up with some money for it.
So these are some ideas that the governor has proposed in his budget cut plan. I know that the legislature will have its own plan that you'll be bringing forward in the next several weeks.
Yes, and our plan was really heavily favoring MnSCU facilities, our colleges, our community colleges. And specifically in Coon Rapids, there were two major projects at the college. One was for a bioscience facility, which was about $16 million. And this is, Anoka Ramsey has a great reputation as to what they're doing with bioscience. They want to expand it, and part of the reason for the expansion is the students and people who are coming back to school know that bioscience is sort of one of the jobs of the future. It's something to get into. And so we wanted to expand that facility. And it looked like that might not go this year. The planning wasn't ready. We may have some small funds in there, but I think we're going to keep the arts facility that was in the bonding bill.
And speaking of jobs, which I know you just mentioned, we also, when the budget forecast came out this week, got some good news on job creation in the state. The Department of Employment and Economic Development told lawmakers that we grew 15,000 jobs in Minnesota last month alone, the biggest one-month job gain since 2005.
Yeah, that's good, and part of it is due to President Obama's stimulus. And one of the things that I know is happening, people are telling me, is that employers are hiring more people, but they're hiring them as temps. They're not doing enough of the long-term hiring. And I think a lot of employers are still nervous. They're not sure that the economy is going to pick up as fast as they want. So they're, rather than going ahead and hiring someone full-time, they're hiring temporary people. So, you know, as the economy continues to improve, I think we're going to see a change, and we're going to see more full-time jobs coming back. One of the sectors, and it was one of the reasons that I was anxious to see some of the MnSCU projects go forward, is our building trades. You know, our carpenters and plumbers, electricians, masons, those would have provided jobs for them. I just don't know if we're going to get that many people back working again. We've got highway projects to get the people who operate heavy equipment and lay asphalt. Those jobs are coming forward, but it's really the sort of construction trades that we don't see coming back.
Well, obviously, a lot of big challenges here in Minnesota, both with jobs and the budget, and these are issues that you folks are tackling quite hard this session. Thank you so much for coming into the studio, Representative Newton, and thanks for tuning in at home. We'll see you next time on Capitol Report.